Welcome back, guys. Well, today I'm back at the cabin and just sitting by the water, enjoying some more warm fall weather. The colors are at about, 60% right now. Lots of reds and yellows out now, and I'm really enjoying it. Had a little bit of touch and go weather today, a little bit of cloud, a little bit of sun. Right now we have just a peak of sun coming back out again, which is lovely. So today's video, I have a few things on my mind lately, a few things that have sort of happened and new information that's been sort of passed along to me that really are making me think. So stay tuned to today's video. There's lots to talk about. Well, for starters, before we get into the discussion today, I just wanted to show you I set up a trail camera by the dock, kind of like I had set up last year, right down here. This is perfect spot because animals come in along the shoreline to eat and drink, and quite often they'll come up on the dock and poke around. I've sort of pulled in the dock now for the season. Funny thing, I'll show you a clip that I started filming with my other camera, and you caught me at an unfortunate time while I was filming it because actually after I filmed the segment you're about to see, I dropped my camera into the water. Yes, I am a fool. I recorded that imagery to show you, what was going on with the trail camera and some beautiful shots here on the bay I captured earlier on. And as I was getting this dock pulled in that I just showed you, I had my camera in my front pocket of my cruising vest that you've sort of seen behind me in the previous clips. And unfortunately that vest, I didn't have the pocket done up, and I'm leaning over, pulling on the dock, and my camera falls down right there into the water. You can imagine I was like a heron after a fish as I shot my hand in the water and yanked the camera out. But alas, it was too late. The bubbles started coming out of the camera, the second it hit the water. Water went into the lens, it's everywhere. So there you have it, my Canon SX40HS that you've seen a lot of my videos, was filmed with that camera. It is now out of commission. So right now I've got it back at the cabin, and I'll show you what I've done so far to kind of rescue it. I think I'm going to have to put it in my dehydrator just to attempt to dry it out and see if I can get it going again. I very quickly yanked out the battery, yanked out my SD card, and the screen still wanted to kind of turn on when I had grabbed it out of the water. So maybe that's a sign it will work again. I'm not sure. So let's keep our fingers and toes crossed that it will be back online in a while. I'm really gonna have to dry it out and see what happens. So here's the clip that happened before it all fell apart. So I'm just out by the bay, and there's lots of amazing ducks in that out here resting on their migratory pathway. I set up a trail camera here just a little while ago, last time I was here at the cabin, and I got some really cool shots. I didn't get many, but I want to show you what I got. It's pretty cool. These images are fantastic. I couldn't be more thrilled with the placement of this camera. As you can see, I got 3 excellent shots here. That raven posed quite nicely actually for the camera. And look at that, a great blue heron. That's amazing. So here I am talking about dropping my camera in the water and shooting after it like a heron. Well, these guys are really great hunters. They love getting frogs and fish in the water, and probably sits on the dock, and there's lots of little fish around here, so I bet you that's what he was getting. And there we are, the bear again. Photobombed the picture from the side there. Kind of wish he'd looked at the camera, but whatever, I'll take what images I can get. Well, what I really wanted to chat about today was a few things, and one of them is actually about safety in the woods and some of the large animals we have out there that we have to worry about here in Ontario. I mean, the vast majority of animals you're going to run into are more scared of you compared to how you're afraid of them. But one thing I needed to point out was that this week and last week actually, in and around the vicinity of the cabin, people have captured on trail cameras a cougar. So they're in Ontario, a cougar is endangered, and there have been reports. Most concerningly, someone within probably a kilometer actually had a run-in with one sort of in the evening, and it was kind of dark out actually, don't know what time. but heard something going on outside, went to go check it out, and sure enough, here's a giant, tawny colored large cat with a really long tail. So certainly was not a bobcat. We don't really have lynx in this area, and so the only thing would be a cougar. And so it appears that there is an animal roaming around these woods. So my reaction to all this news was twofold. One, obviously I was a bit concerned. I mean, I've never had to deal with the concern of having, cougars in the area. Certainly when I've spent some time out in Alberta and BC, it was always on my mind to be cautious because they were around. It was their natural habitat out there. Cougars are typically secretive individuals, and they really love heavily wooded areas like you see around me right now. And they're around, and now it's time to kind of be aware and learn more about them so we can be safe. The second part of hearing about the cougars was that, wow, this is awesome. The possibility that I could catch a cougar on the trail cam is really, really exciting. How awesome would that be to capture an endangered species living in these woods and thriving? So twofold, getting a little bit nervous about, how do I change my approach in the woods to local wildlife? And two, yes, I'm going to be able to get a good chance of capturing one of these guys on my trail cams if one, is setting up shop in the woods nearby. So I'm going to head out now and just check on one of my other trail cameras down by the water and see if I have anything. I think that's a good place to get them, kind of heading down for a drink. So I'm going to head down that way and see if there's anything else really cool that I can see along the way.
Well, here's a cool find. Here are some small puffballs, Lycopterodon, genus likely. And what's really neat is they've gone to spore. And let me just show you a slow motion video of what happens when either something touches them or raindrops fall on them.
Isn't that cool? And all those spores go on to make more fungi.
There's not a ton of mushrooms in the woods right now, but here's a really cool one. It's called the golden philiota. What's really cool about it is its scaly cap, and it's really, really sticky. It's got a really sort of a fuzzy looking stem. It usually grows in clusters, and you can kind of see a couple of other mushrooms coming up there alongside it. So that's really, really cool. So I thought I'd show you this one. It's really beautiful, and it's right now it's on a dead aspen.
Just came across this beautiful old cedar log, and underneath the bark I wanted to show you, this is sort of the roots, as it were, of various fungi and mushrooms. So as you can see, it's just this white kind of network that's sort of traveling underneath the bark. You can see it on that part where it's been peeled off. And up from the mycelium, you'll eventually get basically the mushrooms, which are the fruiting body of the fungus. So just wanted to show you that. That's really cool. My couple of cameras here, these are the ones I think I have the best chance of getting a cougar on. Like I said, they're in the woods here. Oh, there's a picture of me. And they are just by the water here. So I think this would be a pathway that they take to get some water and things like that. So I'm going to grab the cards out of these trail cams and we'll see what we got. And I'm hoping for a cougar. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they probably cover a lot of territory. I'm not really sure if they kind of just, if they're moving in and moving out kind of thing. So we'll take a peek and see what we got. Well, as you can see, no cougars, but got a couple of great pictures there of the coyote coming through. Here's one where he's sort of peeking his head in to the right of the screen there. Gets a little bit deterred by the light of the infrared and leaves. And here's another one of him coming in, still afraid of the infrared lighting, and he goes off to the top of the screen there. Also, you can see a great picture of, I'm not sure if that's an otter that's sort of running down there or a scraggly looking fisher. And also one here of a beautiful fox. So of course, things to think about, with cougars in the woods now around here is cougar safety. And I did a lot of research on it, and what I can determine is that it's important, obviously, to carry some kind of deterrent for them. So essentially, this is pepper spray. It's 1% capsaicin. And basically, it's important, you take off the safety and you'll aim it at the animal that's coming at you, be it a bear or a coyote. And I'm not going to do this now, but you let a good spray, and basically what it does is it sprays pepper spray in the animal's eyes, and and it breathes it in. It really does not like that. So thankfully I've never had to use that, but certainly in a confrontation with a cougar, you're not supposed to run. They have a high prey drive, so they'll run after you. So you want to sit still, be big, and fight back. And that means, hitting them with the capsaicin spray, rocks, sticks, anything to get them to back down. Always, fight when the cougar is coming at you, because if you don't, if you play dead, if you run away, you're more of a target. So being very aware of what's going on in your surroundings is important as well. And hopefully I just don't have to run into one. Let me know down below, guys, in the comments, if you live in cougar country and, if you've had a run-in with one. I think by and large, most of them are terrified of people and you'd never have a run-in, but because there was a close encounter around here recently, I'm more prepared. Another thing I want to talk about today is the change to YouTube's online guidelines for what's appropriate for advertisers. So for some of you that don't know, how creators on YouTube get a little bit of extra money is by ad revenue paid to them by Google AdSense. So you may notice in some videos that are monetized, you will see ads that come up. And it's mutually beneficial for the advertiser as well as the creator, because as people watch videos and they click on the ads, that also brings revenue and a possible sale to an advertiser. So recently YouTube has made changes to their policies for in the favor of advertisers, so that advertisers don't have to worry as much about where their ads are going to be shown. I think a few advertisers had pulled out because they were being advertised on some YouTube content that was people had uploaded that was offensive, and they didn't like that, so they pulled out, and YouTube probably lost a bunch of money on it. So right now, what I've noticed over the summer is they've done these rollouts where basically their computer algorithm has looked through titles, thumbnails, the tags we put in our videos, and I'll just show you a little bit behind the scenes of what those things are. So here you can see on the back page of my YouTube, there's my thumbnail options, there's my title, you can see my video, when I'm going to upload it, and tags that basically help you guys find the video if you're looking for a specific topic. So recently they've changed their guidelines, so offensive content, profanity, hateful content, sensitive content, essentially it can be pulled from, not necessarily removed from YouTube. However, basically they have it so that advertisers will not be advertising on those videos. So I understand that, when you go on the page and you read, the different things that they are not allowing, advertisers to advertise on. I get it. Some of the stuff is very, very awful, and I wouldn't, obviously, if I was an advertiser, want my, product advertised on those videos. But what's happening, generally speaking, with the outdoors community is that some videos that, just depict day-to-day life in the bush, hunting, fishing, trapping, preparing wild game, things like that, is being deemed inappropriate and is being removed from the ability of the creator to monetize that or to make a little bit of extra money on the side after they've created the video. Now, a lot of videos, people are not making a lot of money. You don't become rich. You don't get rich on YouTube, let's put it that way. But it is a little bit of incentive, and, sometimes the money goes towards new camera gear, things like that. But, it's a little disappointing, when a lot of your videos get demonetized. Because essentially, you feel, oh, my content's inappropriate, and there's really nothing wrong with the content itself. I understand people may not want to watch those type of videos, and that's fine. You just don't watch them. But there are a lot of outdoor companies like Cabela's and others that must advertise on YouTube. I mean, I've seen videos of hunting and stuff like that, outfitters on watching people's videos, and so those companies are out there and advertising. But now, if a lot of the outdoors community videos get demonetized, they won't be able to do that either, because they're certainly not going to advertise on makeup channels or things like that. So unfortunately, I had a run-in with this new policy, And this week I got a notification that my AdSense revenue was down, and this could be why. One of my videos, they notified me, was demonetized. They said it was deemed inappropriate for advertisers. And if I want to click this little button over here, then I could send them a notification, and if I got 1,000 views in 7 days, they would bother to look at it again. Well, certainly being a smaller YouTuber, you know, I don't really have a lot of pull with YouTube, and certainly that video was my, you know, rabbit preparation video where I was basically butchering a rabbit to prepare a meal, my favorite meal, lapin à la moutarde, and I was just showing people how to, you know, basically butcher a rabbit properly so that you can utilize all parts of it for the meal. And so I was a bit upset. I went and I reviewed the video because I thought I missed something, because I do make sure that, you know, I do follow all the YouTube guidelines. That video has been up for I think a couple of years now, never had any issue with it, and now with these new algorithms, this video was pulled. And I still couldn't see anything wrong with it, you know, looking at it online. And so I clicked the little button to ask them to take a peek at it. However, because I would never get 1,000 clicks on that video in 7 days, you know, there was no hope of me getting it looked at. So I thought, why not? I'm going to send them an email. So I sent a rather, you know, a forceful email. I was polite, but very, you know, expressed my displeasure, said this is the video I'm concerned about. Not because it's demonetized. I mean, I honestly made 50 cents in the 2 years on this video it was online. And I'll just show you the back page on that, just so you know that I'm telling you the truth on that one. You know, it's not about the money. For me, it's about, you know, telling me my content is inappropriate and offensive. You know, I do a really good job, I think, of trying to make it, you know, obviously suitable for all folks above, you know, what YouTube requires age-wise and stuff for people to be online. You know, I do make an effort to make sure it's appropriate. And so I was upset that, you know, preparing a meal was deemed inappropriate and, you know, sensitive content. Honestly, it's no different than being at home and preparing a chicken or a turkey, you know, when you have the whole carcass there that you're making for Thanksgiving. All it was a whole prepared rabbit that I was preparing to make dinner. So I sent them a forceful email that I was disappointed and I didn't like the direction they were taking, and it was really hurting the outdoors community. And I was actually surprised. You know, I never got an email back, but the video, I went back about 48 hours later and it was remonetized. So that goes to show you that, you know, if you're persistent and you really believe that your video is not inappropriate, that they may listen. So my advice is to, you know, if you have a video that's happened to you, you know, certainly let them know. So just want to let you know that's what's going on. Let me know what you think below. You know, if you're a creator, has this affected you? I mean, some creators may move to a different platform, you know, if they're being, you know, felt that their content is inappropriate and it is still appropriate. Maybe they'll go someplace else where their content is more appreciated. Anyway, I don't know what you guys think about that kind of stuff. I'm just concerned YouTube is unfairly affecting the outdoors community. And also, other things that have changed is that the free YouTube editor now is gone. So for those of you guys, some of your creators right now are frantically learning to use and had to purchase new software because the free YouTube creator software is now not available. So that's something else to consider. If one of your favorite YouTubers is offline for a little bit, it could be that they're learning to use new software. So lots of big changes out there. We'll see how it all shakes out. Just wanted to show you guys an eastern garter snake. Just on the trail here by the cabin on my way back. And as you can see, they're pretty friendly. This guy's not trying to bite me or anything. He's just curling around enjoying the warmth of my hand on this cool fall evening. This one is a male. As you can see, he's got the sort of the spots on the side and the stripe on the back. Beautiful young male eastern garter snake. Well, home sweet home. Managed not to get attacked by a cougar on the way back. So now let's take a look at my poor little camera, and I want to talk a bit about fire safety as well. Had a bit of a scare last time I was at the cabin. Well, here it is. There's my beloved camera. As you can see, I've got it entirely kind of opened up here to let the air at it and let it dry out. As you can see right here, look at that reflection. The water's all through the lens, so that's really bad news. So I'm just going to leave this open to dry. I don't know, I might even stick it in my dehydrator to really dry it out. I may be able to rescue this camera, I'm not sure. So last time I was here, I didn't record this event or even tell you guys about it. I was still processing what happened. So I was basically lying on the couch one evening and my head was more towards the back window there. And suddenly I smelled a smell of burning plastic. And a few other people were over, and so I said, hey, does anybody else smell the smell of burning plastic? And one individual who was there said, yeah, it smells like burning Nomex, which is the power cable that we have strung throughout the cabin for our lighting system. And so everyone jumped up thinking, oh no, maybe there's some kind of a fire starting somewhere, like maybe in the wall, because there was certainly no smoke. So basically we sprung into action. I immediately thought of just basically getting my purse and my keys out of here, because that's my ID and ways to get out of here. I don't care about the rest of it. So I grabbed my purse and keys, literally threw it out the door, because if this cabin was going to go up, it would go up very, very quickly with all the wood in our construction. And basically everybody, we ran outside, we cut the power to the cabin, we disconnected the battery, went up in the attic, looked for any signs of smoke or a smell. Really couldn't, smell anything up there. So that was fortunate. And literally in my mind, I'm thinking I have to go get an axe because, if there's a fire in the wall, I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, I'm just going to start axing into the wall. If I can start to see, smoke coming out of the wall or something, then we could hit it with one of our 2 fire extinguishers. We have one at the door and we've got one upstairs in the loft. None of the smoke detectors went off. There was literally no smoke, just a really bad plastic smell. It was very faint. And it seemed to be more concentrated outside that window. So we basically left all the lights off, had our headlights on, looking around, trying to smell the walls. Really, we could determine nothing, which really kind of scared me. And, we turned the lights on again, rehooked up the battery, didn't really smell anything. Then a little bit later on at night, went outside by that window, we thought we could smell it again. So we turned everything off for the night, couldn't really see any source of the smell, and it dissipated. We had a low rolling fog that night. So then, we went to the road, we went all over, basically behind the cabin in the woods, trying to see where that smell was coming from. In the end, we never really determined what it was. We went on a hike another day, we went further up the property and we could sort of smell it coming from over a ridge and wondered maybe someone was having a fire, and maybe that sort of smell of maybe they were burning some plastic, that it had sort of settled down in a low rolling fog overnight and kind of had poured in through the windows. And we determined it was not coming from the cabin. What a relief that it wasn't from us, but really kind of scared me and made me think a lot more about fire safety at the cabin. So as you know, we have a couple of smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. One there and one right up here on the second floor. Another thing I really thought was important that we get, and I got right away, was one of these escape ladders. It's a 2-story, 13-foot ladder by Kitty. And I've been thinking about getting one of these for a while, but I thought, why not? We just had a bit of a scare there, and this is really neat. It sort of hooks onto the window, and the ladder comes down. It's very easy to install. As you can see, it just sort of sets up here. It anchors down here. And basically this window actually comes out. So when you escape, you don't have this hitting your back. Just gonna lift it up for now. And as you can see, there's the ladder. So as you come out of the cabin window here, you just take the ladder to the bottom. Here's what it looks like from the outside. So it's perfect. And the ladder itself is about 13 feet. It's a one-time use only thing. Pray to God I never have to use it, but it's really good to have around. Also, another important part of our fire safety here in our little tiny cabin is knowing a fire escape plan. And obviously, if it's a fire in the attic or up in the loft, you're stuck in the loft, it's going to be out the window. Otherwise, we have 4 big windows to escape out of. And obviously the front door. So that really made me think about our fire safety here. And thankfully, we did install all the, the wiring, everything to code here. So we didn't have any reason to believe that we had an issue, but doesn't mean something's not going to happen. We also have a fuse in line with the battery there, and if there big difficulty, a huge surge of power to the cabin with that fuse there, the fuse would stop the current, and we wouldn't have an issue. However, it's always good to be safe, check your equipment, and make sure it's all in service. We just serviced our battery recently and made sure that it was operational and working well. And I think within the next year, we're going to have to replace it. One thing we'll also be doing is storing some clothing, especially winter clothing. So I'm talking about those, farm suits that are insulated out in our shed across the way there. So if there was a fire in the middle of the night in the winter or cold nights in the fall or spring, that if you only have your night clothes to escape in, that you can put on some warm clothing if you're waiting for help and you're stuck outside for a long period of time. And especially with the advent of possibly getting a new wood stove in here, it's important to review our fire safety plan. And I encourage you guys too to look into the fire safety that you have at your cabin or your tiny homes, and make sure you have the necessary equipment for fire detection, to put it out, and to escape in the event of an emergency. Stay safe. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. And let me know what you think below in the comments about the topics of today's discussion. Cougar safety, living in cougar country, what are the things we need to consider? To fire safety in the tiny home, tips and tricks you may have and things you've thought about. And finally, your thoughts on what's going on in the outdoors community with YouTube these days, saying that certain videos are inappropriate for certain advertisers. Let me know what you think below in the comments. I hope you guys have a great week as always. Take care.